course. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here. It's a huge honor to be able to speak to you and to, everyone listening on air right now. And thank you to everyone who's listening as well. Well, this all started a long time ago. I've always loved writing since I was a little girl. I used to write poems and stories, in school and to my parents, and just I would share them with everyone around me. And even my first grade teacher she would tell my parents, your daughter has a gift for writing, and I can't wait to see where that's going to take her one day. So, I always found myself wanting to write a book one day in the future, but, I never knew what the book would be about, and figuring out that part of the story took a while. I went through a lot of different ideas, but, either I was too little to write it, and I wasn't able to think through it far enough, or they were just not great ideas. But then one day, they just wouldn't work. And then one day I remember the night I was, getting ready for bed at night, and I was in 6th grade, so I was 12 years old, and I had just read a book called Out of the Dust by Karen Hess, and it was this historical fiction story told in poetry about this young girl and her experience during the Great Depression. And I remember how much I loved that book, and I was just getting ready for bed at night and thinking of how I would love to write a book like that one day. And then out of nowhere, it was God, I guess, it just hit me that I could write something like that, and I can, write something about the Armenian genocide, because that was also something I felt strongly about. I always wanted more people to know about the Armenian genocide, and I felt like no one knew enough about it because, Turkey didn't recognize it, and, not a lot of people here know about Armenians. So the two ideas just came together in my head, and then it was, the perfect idea. I couldn't stop smiling that night, and ever since then, I've just, kept asking myself questions, and, the story came to life, and a year later, I started writing it.
When sees your book, and I hope people will check it out on Amazon, the title is The Heart of a Rock. Whose heart is it that you're talking about?
It's a metaphor to mean a lot of different things. I feel like, if you read the book, you'll know that a lot of it does take place in a cave, because it's about two families who go into hiding because of the genocide. And so in that sense, they're all living inside this rock, and they all are the heart of the rock. But there's also a lot of, one of the characters in the book is an artist, and he loves carving stone, and he's a sculptor. So there's also that idea that, he's like carving into the heart of the rock and figuring out what art he can create from it. And then just as an overall metaphor, the heart represents the Armenian people in general, how, the Armenian people are so strong and they've been through so much, but they still have this culture, and they're all still united together, and they're they're like stone. They're strong, they're unmovable, and they're the heart of that.
Rina, thank you for all these beautiful comments. We are all strong, and we want to be even stronger, especially these days. We need to be strong. What does it take to write a book? Can you give some advice to younger people listening to you? What does it take besides the obvious discipline?
Well, yeah, there's definitely that discipline aspect where sometimes, the ideas don't come and you get discouraged and you think, this isn't going to work out. But even if you write a sentence that day, or write a paragraph, or even if you don't write anything and you just, answer some question that's been nagging at your head for a while, as long as you're able to make a little progress every day, that's the most important part. And, when I started college, it was a lot harder for me to balance school and writing. And for the first 2 years of college, I found myself pretty much just abandoning my creative projects during the year and then writing, during breaks and in the summer. But this year I'm happy that I've been able to do both. And it's just, I wake up in the morning and just write for 10 minutes, and that's all I have time for. But, it's a good, any progress is progress, and that's what matters. And, besides that, just keep asking questions.
You speak about many times when anybody writing a book, so many people I know who wanted to write a book, they start a few pages, maybe a chapter or so, then they put it in the drawer and forget about the book, because it's something you really have to be disciplined and continue pushing it forward. And my question to you is, what does it take besides writing ability? What was in your background that helped you write? Is it the matter of reading books, many books? Is it the matter of sharpening your writing skills along the way? Is it advice you got from teachers or parents? What does it take?
I feel like the most important thing is, even if you don't think you're a great writer and you haven't read that many books, it's finding that idea that you're passionate about, and that's what keeps you going. Because I did go through a lot of ideas, but it wasn't until I got the idea for this book that I really found myself wanting to write, because I love the characters and I enjoyed the story. And in terms of building up the skill, just read as many books as you can. Writing and reading go hand in hand. So, and a lot of my ideas for the book and my ideas for writing are drawn from different stories, because nothing is ever 100% original. Like, everyone who's, a creator gets their ideas from other works of art and creations. And so the more you have to build upon, the better you'll become. And of course, just work hard in school. I took my English classes seriously at Rutgers. I'm an English major because I do feel like it helps with wanting to go to law school and to be a writer, and I try to take as many creative writing classes as possible. So, just all of that, I feel like finding the idea you're passionate about, and also, of course, a good support system. I forgot to mention that, my family and my friends, and really anyone I tell that, I write books, is very supportive, and they always inspire me to keep going.
Also, after we contacted each other, I also heard that there is a part 2 of this book. There's a series, in fact, 4 books. Where's this leading to?
Yeah, well, the idea for the second book that I'm writing is actually the idea I originally got when, I first thought of this series. But then as I continued thinking, the story just got bigger and bigger, and I realized, there needs to be stuff that happens before that part and a lot that happens after. So then I went to write the first book, and, I just was going to write the entire story, but it became so long that I said, okay, I have to split this somewhere. So I split it kind of where I thought the first book would have a good ending. Then I edited the first book, and then I started writing the second book. I'm actually editing that now, so I hope to publish it. My goal is in the summer, but we'll see how that carries out. And then, there's 2 more books in the series, and sometimes I think I would want to continue the story, but I haven't decided to do that yet. I do feel like there's an important place to, end the story. And I think the end of the 4th book would be a good place for that. But, it's following the lives of 2 characters and their entire experience during the Armenian genocide and how their relationship changes throughout it. So I do have an idea, like, for how the entire story is going to go. And I'm getting excited and ahead of myself, and I'm plotting out, like, the 4th book when I should be working on the second, but it's fine.
A few minutes ago, I was talking to your mom, and she says in Armenian, she's so she's so proud of you, obviously, and here we have a fruit of your labor, which is once again in my hand now, this book entitled The Heart of a Rocket. So nice to have your name, Rina Gallo, the author. And then what is The Stone and the Songbird? Is a series, the name of the series?
Yeah, The Stone and the Songbird is the name of the series. That one took a while to come up with, and I wasn't, at first I was like not even sure if I was going to have a name for this series, but then I figured I should, so people know it's all part of one group. But The Stone and the Songbird refers to, like, the 2 main characters, because the book is told from the perspectives of Anna and Andre. So, Andre's the stone, he's the artist I was talking about earlier, and Anna's a songbird, and, you learn throughout the novel that she's a musician. So those terms do come back later in the series. They're gonna, you're gonna see, like, where that title comes from, but it's just about how it's their story, and it's, referring to them.
What does it feel like when you go to school and you would say, I'm the author of a book? How did the kids, or how do your friends react?
Honestly, most of my friends all react with support, and they're all, oh my gosh, that's so cool, you wrote a book. And it was really cool to see, the book in my hands once it was published, because, I worked so hard writing it and then designing the cover and going through the whole process of publishing it. So to actually see it in my hand and have my name on it, like you were saying earlier, it's a surreal feeling. But sometimes I forget, I almost underplay it, because since I'm in the writing community, I do know a lot of people that write books, or a lot of people that are working on, stories like that. So when I tell, like, my friends who aren't writers, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm writing a book, and they're all so impressed. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. And everyone says, no, like, it's a good accomplishment. So, it's really cool.
It's a major accomplishment. Once again, I have to think of myself, how many times have I started writing something about my life? Every Armenian, especially after 100 years of the Armenian genocide, there are many, many Armenians who have gone into their grandparents' story and published books about their grandparents' experience during the genocide. And there's a lot of stories that will be coming out, should come out, because each story is very, very unique. Let me also ask you the response of the community, the Armenian community. What kind of response did you get for your book?
Well, great responses. I mean, everyone, when I first published it in February 2020, everyone went out to buy it, and it was this huge high of excitement, and everyone was trying to plan book signings and events, and then a month later COVID hit. So that all kind of fell through, and I did create a social media account and try to advertise, but it was a year or two before we could get things running again. And this past March in 2023, we had a book signing at St. Stepanos Armenian Church in Elbron. And then this past September, on the 17th, we had a book signing at St. Gregory the Enlightener in White Plains, New York. So it's been great to have people from the Armenian community reaching out and planning these events to help publicize my book now, especially since the second one's coming soon. And it's really great to just see everyone, want to read another story about the Armenian genocide. So
when is the second one coming up?
Soon. I mean, I'm in the process of editing it right now.
Really?
Sorry?
How many pages is
Oh,
that?
how many pages? I mean, it's definitely much longer than the first one. And as an actual, on the Microsoft, it's about 430 pages, but that's going to end up being longer in book form because, there's more words on a document online than in an actual page of a book. But for comparison, the first book is about 84,000 words, and the second book is about 175,000 words. So it's definitely a lot longer, and I do think a part of that is just because I've gotten older and I've become a better writer, and I have more to say. And that's kind of a reason I even wanted to start writing this book young, and because I've thought sometimes I'm like, this is an important story, maybe I should wait until I'm older. Then I think, my characters are young, they're growing throughout the series, and I'm growing, and I do want the books to reflect that in a way.
What is your message to younger generation, your age?
Just always be practical, of course. Don't just go off and do crazy things just because you feel like you're passionate about it, but also do what you're passionate about and try to find a way to do that in a way that's going to benefit you. When I say be practical, I mean, of course my dream would be to be a writer and only a writer, but I know that most writers don't make the most money. So I try to find something that still involves language and words, but would be able to, allow me to help people in a different way and have a more steady type of income. So that's what made me think of law. But don't give up that side of you that's passionate either. Like, I don't plan on ever stopping writing. And, I do plan on working in smaller law firms rather than huge companies so I can have the time to be a writer and one day have a family. So it's important to find a balance. That's the main thing I would say.
Rina, you're a very balanced person, very, very enjoyable talking to you and learning more about you. There's so much passion in the way you convey your life story and the book. And is there anything else in closing you would like to tell us?
No, I just want to say thank you again for having me here. I really enjoyed this interview, and this is my first time being on the radio, so it was definitely a cool experience. And I also want to thank Hagop and Kevork for all of your help here. You helped make me feel comfortable because I was initially nervous coming in here because I was like, what if my voice sounds weird or I don't talk in the microphone the right way? But, everyone's been very helpful and welcoming, and thank you to you, of course, for, helping coordinate all this and making it possible.
Rina,
yeah, Shnoda Galem, Amem Martun Bormedik Genegar, Shap Urache Burger Ta Amem Nartun Hosil Kirkis Masin, Yev Gusambor Amem Lab Orgunanan, Yev Love Thanksgiving, Yev, Gahant.
Bravo.